My name is Emma Ward, and I'm the shadow in my own family photo. I was the girl who always stood just to the side, never quite in the center, as if some invisible hand was guiding me away from the warmth everyone else seemed to share. People say family like it's an anchor, like it's supposed to keep you from drifting off into the dark. Maybe for some people it is. For me, it's always been a little more complicated, ever since Liam arrived. I remember the day my mother married his father. It was all confetti and promises and clinking glasses, the two of them beaming like they'd found something lost. I was 15 then, old enough to understand that a new ring on my mother's finger didn't mean I had to let someone else into the broken, private places of my life. But life doesn't wait for you to catch up. Liam moved in, and everything changed. Not at once. No, he was quieter than that. Like a shadow you don't notice until the room is empty and he's still there. That's the thing about Liam. He waits. He listens. He sees things other people miss. I used to think he was just shy or cold, the kind of boy who was always half a room away, never asking to be included. But then I'd catch him watching me, not in a creepy way, but as if he was waiting for something only I could do or say or become. It unsettled me. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night convinced I'd heard him outside my door, and when I opened it, there'd just be silence and the smell of rain through an open window. Maybe that's why, all these years later, he's still the only person who makes me feel anything close to safe. Or maybe that's the scariest part of all. We come to the lake house every summer. It's supposed to be a tradition, one of those things families do to stitch themselves together after the world tries to rip them apart. My mother loves it here, says the woods heal her soul. Liam's father, Mark, always brings his fishing. Rods and acts like he's the king of the dock, even though he never catches anything but old boots and moss. For me, the lake house is just a house. 4 walls, a roof, the same old smells of pine and sunscreen and damp towels. But for Liam, I think it's the only place he ever belonged. I'd see him on the back porch, just sitting with his headphones on, staring at the water like it's telling him secrets no one else can hear. This year, the air feels different. Heavy somehow, as if we're all waiting for a storm we can't see. My mother's been on edge, snapping at little things. Plates left in the sink, towels on the floor. Mark's been spending more time away, always running errands that seem to take all day. Liam and I orbit each other like moons, careful not to collide, but always within each other's gravity. On the 3rd day, something shifts. It's late afternoon. The adults have gone into town to stock up, which means buying too much wine and overpriced cheese. I'm left behind, supposedly to work on my college essay, but really just pacing the empty living room, feeling like a ghost in someone else's story. The screen door slams. I jump, my heart in my throat, but it's just Liam. He's taller. Then I remember. When did that happen? And he has that same unreadable look in his eyes. He doesn't say anything, just drops a bag of groceries on the counter and glances at me. "You want the couch?" he asks, voice low. I shrug, suddenly unsure. I was just thinking. He doesn't push. He never does. Instead, he walks past me, sits on the far end of the couch, and pulls a battered paperback from his pocket. I watch him, waiting for the awkwardness to pass, but it never really does. Not with us. For a few minutes, there's only the sound of pages turning. The light shifts, turning everything golden soft. I almost forget we're alone until he speaks again. "You remember that storm last summer?" His voice is casual, but his eyes are on me now. Really on me. "Yeah. The one that knocked out the power for 2 days." He nods. "You were scared." I bristle. I wasn't scared. I was just unprepared. He smiles, a rare thing, and shakes his head. "You hid in the closet with the dog, Emma. I found you at 3 a.m. holding a flashlight like it was a sword." My cheeks flush, but I manage a laugh. "Yeah, well, better safe than sorry." He doesn't laugh. Instead, he looks at me in that quiet, piercing way of his. "You never have to be scared here. Not with me around." Something in his tone makes my breath catch. It's not a promise exactly. not the way adults promise things to make themselves feel better. It's more like a statement of fact. For a second, I wonder if he knows how often I've replayed that night in my head, not because of the storm, but because it was the first time anyone ever came looking for me. I open my mouth to say something, but he cuts me off. I'm going. Down to the dock. You coming? I nod, grateful for the excuse to move, to do anything but sit with the way he's looking at me. The lake is glassy, reflecting the bruised sky above. We sit at the edge, feet dangling over the water. Liam skips. Stones. He's always been good at that, making impossible things look easy. I try, but my stones sink with a plunk. He laughs softly. Technique, he says, demonstrating. It's all in the wrist. Show off, I grumble, but there's no real heat in it. For a while, we don't talk. It's a comfortable silence, or as close as we ever get. I wonder what he's thinking. If he's worried about the way my mother and Mark have been fighting. If he feels the same crack in the foundation that I do. Finally, he speaks. You ever think about running away? The question hangs between us. Heavy as the sky, sometimes I admit, surprising myself. But I wouldn't get far. I'm not as brave as you. He looks at me, his gaze steady. You're braver than you think. Something in his voice makes me shiver, though the air is warm. I want to ask what he means, why he always seems to know when I'm about to fall apart, but I don't. Not yet. Instead, I watch the ripples spreading across the water, thinking about all the things I wish I could say, all the things I wish someone would do, just once, when I'm finally alone and brave enough to admit I need them. And I realize with a twist of fear and hope that maybe Liam is waiting for the same thing. If you've never heard a summer thunderstorm roll in across a lake, you don't know how loud quiet can get. The sky turns the color of bruised fruit, and the wind presses its cold fingers through every crack in the old lake house. It's the kind of weather that feels like a warning. Stay inside, stay close. Wait for something to break. By mid-afternoon, the air is already thick and humming. My mother paces the kitchen, muttering about flashlights and batteries, as if we might be plunged into darkness at any moment. Mark checks the windows, double-checks the locks, tries to play the hero in a storm that doesn't care about heroes. Just want them all to leave. When the first fat drops of rain spatter the porch, my mother sighs and grabs her keys. We'll get supplies, just in case, she says, which means they're heading into town for overpriced groceries and an excuse to be somewhere else. Mark follows, his mouth tight. The tension between them hangs in the air like static. Liam appears in the hallway, silent as ever. He leans against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching them argue in low, clipped voices. He looks at me, a silent question in his eyes. I clear my throat. I'll stay here. I've got homework. It's a lie, but no one questions it. My mother only nods, too preoccupied with her own storm clouds to care. Liam doesn't say anything, just disappears into his room as the car pulls away. Suddenly, the house is quiet. Too quiet. I walk from room to room, restless, feeling the way the floor creaks under my feet, the way the wind rattles the windows. I know I'm not really alone, not with Liam somewhere in the house, but it feels like it. And it scares me a little. The thunder starts low and far away. The lights flicker. I stand at the window, watching rain streak the glass, and for a moment, I feel like I'm the only person in the world. I hear his footsteps before I see him. They're careful, soft, the way you move when you're not sure you belong. I turn to find Liam standing in the doorway, hands in his pockets, eyes shadowed by the storm. He doesn't say anything for a long time. The silence grows until I can't take it. You hate storms, don't you? He shrugs, lips twisting into a half smile. Only the waiting? I nod. I understand. Sometimes the anticipation is worse than the storm itself. He crosses to the window, standing beside me. His shoulder almost touches mine. You don't have to pretend with me, he says quietly. It hits me how much I needed to hear that. Pretend. What? That you're not scared. That you don't wish things were different. I look away, embarrassed. I'm not a kid anymore, Liam. No, you're not. His voice is gentle, almost proud. But you're still allowed to feel things. A bolt of lightning splits the sky. The house shakes. I flinch before I can stop myself. He notices. Of course he does. Come on, he says. And before I can argue, he leads me to the couch and throws an old blanket over both of us. We sit side by side, listening to the thunder. The room glows with the weird light of the storm. Everything is sharp, alive, and a little bit dangerous. For a long time, neither of us speaks. The storm rages outside, and inside it's just us and the howl of wind. It feels strange, almost forbidden, to be alone with him like this. Not because I'm afraid of Liam, but because there are things we never talk about. Things that live in the cracks of our family's story, things that hurt to name. He breaks the silence first. You remember last year, the fight your mom and Mark had? Of course I remember. I'd sat in my room, listening to the shouting, the slammed doors, the sound of glass breaking. Yeah, I thought they'd split up for good. Me too, he says, voice rough. I packed a bag, was gonna leave that night. The idea of Liam leaving hits me like cold water. Why didn't you? He shrugs. You. There's a heaviness in my chest. I can't breathe for a second. He keeps talking, his words soft but sharp. I know I'm not your real brother. I know people think it's weird, us being close. But you're the only one who ever saw me, Emma. Even before we really talked. You saw me. My throat tightens. I felt the same way. After my dad died, I didn't think anyone ever would. He looks down, fidgeting with a loose thread on the blanket. I'm not good with words, or people. But you make things make sense. The storm is roaring now, drowning out anything else we could say. But it doesn't matter. Everything important has already been spoken. After a while, the power flickers out. The lights die, and for a moment, we're sitting in the dark together. Only the storm for company. Liam stands up and disappears into the kitchen. I hear him rummaging, then a flashlight clicks on. He brings it back, shining it under his chin in a goofy, exaggerated way. Boo, he whispers. And for the first time in what feels like forever, I laugh. Not because it's funny, but because it's him. He grins and hands me the light. You keep it, just in case. I hold it tight, feeling safer than I have in weeks. Thanks. He sits back down closer this time and we talk, really talk, about everything and nothing. About school and dreams and how hard it is to be yourself in a family that wants you to play a part. He tells me about growing up with Mark, always moving, never settling, how he learned not to need anyone until he met me. I tell him about my dad, about how the ache of missing him never really goes away, about how hard it is to trust that people won't leave. He listens, and for once I feel heard. The storm finally begins to fade, the thunder rolling off into the distance. The house feels lighter somehow, less haunted. Liam stands, stretching. You okay? I nod, exhaustion pulling at my bones. Yeah, better now. He hesitates in the doorway, looking back at me with something like hope in his eyes. If you ever need to talk, I'm not going anywhere. I smile, small but real. I know. And as he disappears down the hall, I realize he's right. For the first time, I believe it. Outside, the rain slows to a gentle whisper. Inside, I wrap the blanket around my shoulders and close my eyes, listening to the last echoes of the storm. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, or what storms still wait on the horizon, but tonight, I'm not alone. Not really. Not as long as Liam is here, waiting, watching, and ready to do whatever it takes to make sure I never have to face the dark by myself. When the sun finally pushes through the clouds the next morning, everything smells like wet leaves and second chances. I wake with the blanket still wrapped around me, the flashlight heavy in my palm. A strange comfort, like proof that last night's storm was real and not just another dream I can't shake. For a moment, the lake house is completely quiet. The kind of quiet that feels almost sacred, the aftermath of chaos. But something in the air feels off. I listen for voices, my mother's laugh, Mark's deep rumble, but there's only the distant call of a loon over the water. Liam isn't in his room. The bedsheets are still rumpled, and his old, battered sneakers are gone. For a second, a chill runs through me. I check the porch, the kitchen, the dock. He's not there. Panic starts to prickle at the edges of my thoughts. I tell myself I'm being ridiculous. But after last night, after the things we said, everything feels more fragile, like it could break without warning. I find a note on the kitchen table, scrawled in Liam's unmistakable, careful handwriting. Back soon, don't worry. Easier said than done. By noon, my mother and Mark still haven't returned. Their absence leaves the lake house echoing, each sound amplified, every floorboard's groan a reminder that I am truly alone. I try to read, to distract myself, but the words blur and run together. Eventually, I give up and wander outside. The lake glitters under the noon sun, calm and perfect, hiding whatever secrets might be lurking beneath. I walk the path through the trees, past the old shed where Liam used to stash his broken fishing rods and half-finished sketches. The forest is cool and green, heavy with the scent of moss and earth. Halfway to the clearing, I hear voices, raised, angry. My heart stutters. I move closer, careful not to snap any branches. Through the trees, I see my mother and Mark standing on the gravel drive, faces twisted with frustration. They don't notice me. Can't keep doing this, Mark says, his voice low and sharp. It's not working, Beth. My mother wraps her arms around herself, looking smaller than I've ever seen her. I know, she whispers, but I don't know how to fix it. There's a silence that feels like the moment before a glass shatters. Then Mark turns and storms toward the house. My mother stays frozen for a moment, then follows, not looking back. I stand there, hidden by the trees, feeling like an intruder in my own life. The truth hits me harder than I expect. Everything I thought was stable is falling apart. I find Liam by the edge of the lake, perched on the old dock with his knees pulled up to his chest, staring into the water as if it might answer some unspoken question. I hesitate at the tree line, unsure if I should intrude, but he must sense me. He always does. He looks up, and for a moment, he just watches me approach, eyes unreadable. I sit beside him, careful to keep a few inches between us. The boards creak beneath our combined weight. The lake laps gently at the pilings. Did you hear them? He asks finally. I nod. Yeah. He sighs, looking down at his hands. I thought maybe if we came here things would be better. Like before. I swallow. Nothing ever stays the same. He's quiet for a while, tracing patterns on the weathered wood. Then, almost too soft to hear, he says, if they split up, what happens to us? The question freezes me. It's the thing I've been avoiding all morning, the reality that the glue holding our family together is dissolving, and there's no telling what comes next. I don't know, I admit. I guess we figure it out. He laughs, but it's a sad, tired sound. You make it sound easy. It's not, I whisper. But we're not kids anymore, Liam. We can make our own choices. He looks at me then, really looks, and I see fear in his eyes. Not fear for himself, but for me. I always thought I had to protect you, he says. That if I just tried hard enough, I could keep the world from falling apart. I shake my head, voice shaking. You did, Liam. You did more than anyone ever has. He stares at the water. But it wasn't enough, was it? A lump forms in my throat. I want to reach out to tell him that none of this is his fault, that we're not responsible for the messes the adults make. But the words won't come. He stands abruptly, shoving his hands in his pockets. Come on, there's something I want to show you. We walk along the shore, silent except for the crunch of gravel and the call of gulls overhead. He leads me to the edge of the woods, to a place I haven't been since we were both much younger. There, under a bent willow, is an old treehouse, half collapsed, the paint peeling, the ladder missing half its rungs. I used to come here when things got bad at home, Liam says, voice far away. It was the only place I felt safe. He looks at me, his expression raw. I wanted you to know about it, in case you ever need to get away. Something in me breaks a little. I realize that all this time, while I was busy keeping my own secrets, Liam was building escape routes for us both. I climb the remains of the ladder, cautious. The platform creaks under my weight, but it holds. Liam follows, sitting beside me in the shade of the willow. We can see the whole lake from up here, the sky reflected in perfect blue. For a while, we say nothing. It's enough just to sit, side by side, feeling the world shrink down to this small secret place. Then he speaks, low and urgent. Emma, I know things are bad. I know you're scared, but I'm not going anywhere. Even if our parents split, even if everything else changes. His words are a lifeline. I close my eyes, letting the wind carry away some of my fear. I believe you, I say. And I do. Later, as the sun slips behind the trees, we head back toward the house. I feel lighter than I have in days, the heaviness in my chest eased by the promise in his voice. But when we reach the porch, my mother is waiting. Her eyes are red, her hands twisting in her lap. I need to talk to you, she says, looking at me but glancing at Liam, uncertain. He squeezes my shoulder before heading inside, his touch quick but grounding. I sit beside my mother, bracing myself. She takes a deep breath. Mark and we're going to separate. We wanted to tell you together, but her voice breaks. I reach for her hand, finding it cold and trembling. It's okay, Mom, I say softly, even though nothing about this is okay. She pulls me into a hug, and for the first time, I don't resist. I let her hold me, let myself be her little girl, just one more time. Inside, I hear footsteps, Liam's, pacing, waiting. He said he wouldn't leave, and I believe him. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Because sometimes, family isn't about blood or marriage, or even living under the same roof. Sometimes family is the person who waits for you to be alone, then finds a way to prove you'll never really have to be. No one ever warns you how loud silence can get when a family breaks. The next morning, the lake house is full of that silence. Tense, electric, suffocating. Mark packs his things without saying a word. My mother floats around the kitchen, her eyes swollen from crying, acting like if she keeps moving fast enough, she'll outrun the truth. Liam and I sit on the back porch, side by side, watching the clouds gather over the water. Neither of us speaks for a long time. He's the first to break the silence. Do you want to leave? The question is so simple it nearly undoes me. I look at him, really look, and realize he's waiting for my answer, like he always does. Not pushing, not leading, just waiting. I wrap my arms around my knees. I don't know. It's like, if we leave, it's all real. There's no going back. Liam nods. Sometimes the only way out is through. His words stick with me. I can hear Mark's voice echoing through the walls, the scrape of his suitcase wheels across the floorboards. He and my mother don't even fight anymore. Their words are soft, resigned, like people who have run out of reasons to keep pretending. For a second, I want to be small again, to believe that adults can fix things just by wanting it badly enough. But that was another life. By afternoon, the house is a battlefield. Only there are no shouts, just a cold, steady withdrawal. Mark lingers in the driveway with the trunk of his car open, methodically loading bags. My mother stands in the doorway, hugging herself. I hear her voice crack as she says goodbye to Mark, promising to call soon, though we all know it's a lie. Liam comes to stand behind me. His presence is quiet but solid, a silent shield between me and the wreckage. Suddenly, Mark turns. His eyes find us both, me hugging the porch rail like it might save me, and Liam standing close, too close, as if he's daring someone to tell him not to. Mark's gaze lingers on us, suspicion flickering in his eyes. You two, you'll be all right? He asks, his tone flat, forced casual. I nod. We'll manage. Mark's eyes narrow, something unspoken on the edge of his tongue. He looks like he wants to say more, but just shakes his head, slams the trunk, and gets into his car. As the car pulls away, my mother dissolves. Tears spill silently down her cheeks as she watches the only family she's managed to patch together drive away. I step forward, unsure if I'm supposed to comfort her, but Liam gently catches my arm. Give her space, he whispers. She needs to feel it. We stand together, watching Mark's car disappear down the winding road. For a long time, there's just the wind and the low hum of the lake. Inside, the air is thick. My mother drifts into her room and shuts the door. I wander through the house, picking up the detritus of a family that doesn't exist anymore. Coffee cups, a dropped sock, an old photograph of us on the dock, all four smiling, looking like we believed in forever. I find Liam in the living room, standing by the window. He doesn't turn as I approach. I think he suspects something, he says quietly. I frown. Of what? He shrugs. Us, being close. Too close, maybe. A wave of panic hits me. We haven't done anything wrong. Liam's jaw clenches. Doesn't matter. People see what they want to see. They always do. There's a heaviness in his words, a weariness I recognize. It's the same one I feel whenever someone looks at us for too long, whispers behind cupped hands. My own friends have asked more than once, what's really going on between us? I never have an answer that satisfies them. Liam turns, his expression stormy. Let them talk. You're my family, Emma. That's all that matters. My throat tightens. The bait, the tension. Are we wrong for needing each other like this? Is there a line we're crossing just by being the only ones left? I want to ask him. I want to scream that I'm scared, of being left, of being judged, of losing the only person who's ever truly seen me. Instead, I just whisper, promise me you won't leave. He nods, solemn. I promise, no matter what anyone says. That night, we eat in near silence. My mother pokes at her food, eyes glazed. The phone rings and she doesn't answer. I try to fill the void with empty conversation, weather, college, the broken step on the porch, but nothing lands. After dinner, I retreat to the dock, needing air. The night is thick, the stars half hidden behind clouds. I sit at the edge, legs dangling, and listen to the water lap against the wood. The quiet is suffocating, but it's better than the tension inside. Liam appears a few minutes later, sitting beside me. He hands me a mug of tea, hands steady even in the dark. I know you're scared, he says softly. Me too. I close my eyes, letting the night settle around us. What if they make us go separate ways? He shakes his head. We're not kids. They can't decide for us anymore. For a long time, we just sit there. I feel the fear settle somewhere deeper, quieter, like a stone at the bottom of the lake. Not gone, but held. Suddenly, footsteps echo on the dock behind us. My mother, hair wild, eyes red-rimmed, stands at the edge of the light. I want to talk, she says, voice brittle. Liam tenses, protective. I nod, bracing myself. She sits, wrapping her arms around herself. People will talk, you know. They already do. I hear it in town, at church. They say things about you two, about how close you are. She looks at me, pleading. You have to understand. The world isn't always kind. A strange anger wells up in me. We're not doing anything wrong. Her voice wavers. I know, but I worry. I worry about how hard it's been for both of you. I worry about how much you need each other. Liam sits straighter. She's my family, that's all. My mother nods, tears slipping down her cheeks. Just promise me you'll take care of each other. no matter what happens. I reach for Liam's hand, squeezing it tight, just for a moment. We promise. When my mother returns to the house, Liam and I remain side by side on the dock, silent but united. The night air is cold and sharp, but I feel stronger than I did that morning. Lines have been drawn, truth spoken aloud, the ugly suspicions of the outside world exposed. But nothing has changed between us. If anything, the pressure has made our bond stronger, harder, more unbreakable. As we walk back to the house, Liam glances at me, something fierce in his gaze. No one gets to tell us who we are, Emma. No one. I nod, hope flickering in my chest. Maybe the world will always misunderstand us. Maybe people will always talk. But it doesn't matter. We've drawn our line in the sand, and we're standing together, come what may. I barely sleep. In the small hours before dawn, the lake house feels emptier than ever. Every sound, an owl's call, the groan of a settling floorboard, seems louder, more final. I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting for something. Maybe the grief to crest, maybe the world to spin back the other way. But morning comes anyway, pink and unsteady, light leaking through the curtains like a secret. For the first time, I realize nothing will ever be the same. Mark's side of the closet is bare. My mother sleeps in fits, eyes ringed and red. In the kitchen, her hands shake as she makes coffee, and she doesn't notice when I walk in. The weight of what's been broken hangs in every corner. Liam's not in the house. For a wild, heart-racing moment, I think he's left too. I hurry through the empty rooms, half frantic, until I see his old hoodie hanging by the door. Relief washes through me so hard my knees go weak. I find him at the edge of the water, kneeling in the dew-soaked grass. He's building a small cairn from flat river stones, stacking each one with careful, steady hands. For a minute, I just watch, the silence between us pulsing with all the things we can't say. Finally, he looks up, eyes rimmed with exhaustion but steady. "Couldn't sleep?" he asks. I shake my head. "Did you think about leaving?" He considers this, then shakes his head. "Not unless you're with me." That simple answer, so honest, so unguarded, slices through the ache in my chest. I sit beside him, pulling my knees to my chest. For a while, we just watch the morning creep across the lake. The world is still, waiting. By mid-morning, my mother appears on the porch, looking 10 years older than she did yesterday. She calls me inside. Her voice is gentle, but tired, as if she's finally surrendered to the truth. "Emma, I need to talk to you about what comes next." She sits at the table, hands folded tight, knuckles white. "I'm not sure what I'm doing," she says. "I want you to stay here if you want, or go with me. Or, if you need something different, I'll help you." I don't know how to answer. For so long, I've let other people decide where I belong. But now, the only thing I know is that I don't want to lose Liam. Not now, not ever. My mother sees it in my face. She nods, tears in her eyes. "You and Liam, you've been through a lot together. I know people say things, but I see the way he looks out for you. That matters more than anything." She leans forward, squeezing my hands. "Promise me you'll both find a way to be happy, even if it means leaving." I nod, silent promises swelling in my throat. It happens quickly after that. Mark calls, awkward and apologetic, to arrange picking up the last of his things. My mother starts packing, as if motion alone will keep her from falling apart. The lake house, once a home, becomes just a place to sleep and wait. Liam and I drift through those days like ghosts, doing what needs to be done, holding on to each other in small, invisible ways. When the tension in the house grows too sharp, we retreat to the willow tree, or the broken tree house, or the edge of the dock where the world feels just a little bit wider. One night, as the last of the boxes are stacked by the door, I find Liam staring at the dark water, jaw clenched. "What if this is the end?" I whisper, scared to hear the answer. He doesn't look at me, but I can hear the steel in his voice. "It's not. We get to decide what comes next, Emma. Not them. Not anyone. The wind stirs, sharp and cool, and for a moment, I believe him. The next morning, my mother leaves early. She hugs me for a long time, tells me she'll call, tells me to take care of myself. Her voice trembles when she says goodbye to Liam, as if she finally understands what he's meant to me. Mark comes and goes, his presence like a storm cloud, here, then gone, never quite touching down. When he hugs Liam, I see something crack in both of them, but neither says a word, and just like that, the house is empty. Just me, Liam, and the echo of too many words left unsaid. We decide to leave that afternoon. I pack a small bag, essentials, only, clothes, a notebook, the flashlight Liam gave me during the storm. He brings his compass, battered and scratched, the one he's carried since he was a kid. We stand together on the porch, looking out at the lake one last time. The sun is just starting to set, painting the water gold. For a moment, everything feels possible, like the world is opening up instead of closing in. Liam turns to me, something fierce and bright in his eyes. You ready? I nod, heart hammering. I don't know where we're going. He smiles, slow and sure. We'll figure it out, together. We start walking, backpacks slung over our shoulders, leaving the lake house behind. The path through. The woods is quiet except for the crunch of our boots and the distant cry of a bird. Every step feels like shedding an old skin. Halfway down the trail, Liam stops. He pulls the old compass from his pocket and presses it into my palm. For when you feel lost, he says, so you can always find your way back, to me. The gesture nearly undoes me. I close my fingers around the compass, fighting tears. We walk until the house is only a memory behind us, the world ahead wide and wild. Night falls fast in the woods. We make camp under the willow tree, stars pricking holes in the velvet sky. For the first time in days, I feel light, a little scared, but free. Liam builds a small fire. We sit side by side, sharing stories, laughter, and the soft hush of the night. We talk about the past, about the future, about dreams we were too scared to name until now. There's fear, of course. The world outside is loud and messy and full of people who won't understand. But here, in this moment, it doesn't matter. Liam looks at me, his voice low and steady. I told you I'd wait. I told you I'd never leave you alone. That's a promise I mean to keep. I smile, tears hot and unashamed on my cheeks. And I promise I won't let you go, no matter what. We sit together as the fire burns low, two shadows cast against the night, drawing new lines, daring the world to misunderstand. Because he waited until I was alone, until there was nothing left but truth. And then he did it. He gave me hope. He gave me a reason to believe that family is something you fight for, not something you're given. And as the night deepens and the woods grow still, I know that whatever comes next, I am not afraid. Not anymore. Not as long as Liam is here. End.